3, 2, 1. Let me ask you a question. What is the most crucial thing an athlete can do to enhance their performance? Now, you can say recovery, okay. You can say icing, like after a workout, okay. Or you could say nutrition. All three of those are acceptable answers, but one thing that really stands out and is the key to all of it would be weightlifting, right? I mean, think about it. Without weightlifting, recovery, it's needed, but not needed as heavily. Without weightlifting, there's really no need to ice. And although nutrition is very important, if you consume, like an athlete will consume 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day, if you're not lifting, that turns into fat, right? So the most crucial thing for an athlete to do to enhance their performance is lifting, right? Now you might be asking, what is the most important lift that an athlete can do to enhance their performance? Now, you could say the obvious: bench, squat, reverse lunge, all that, right? But one thing that people tend to forget about is deadlift, right? Deadlift, as an athlete, you're consistently pushing off your legs, right? As a basketball player, you're pushing off your legs to get a rebound, to dunk, to shoot the ball. As a baseball player, softball player, you're pushing off your legs to throw the ball, to hit the ball, to pitch the ball. You know, it's pretty much it's in all sports, right? So you can't avoid pushing off your legs. And as deadlifting does, it pushes your legs, right? So with deadlifting, there comes 4 different forms. There comes sumo deadlift, there comes conventional deadlift, there is straight bar deadlift, and then there's trap bar deadlift. Now, all 4 in their respective categories do provide well-beings for athletes, but at the same time, there's one that stands out the best out of all of them. And sumo deadlift, it targets your hips and it targets your hamstrings, which is your legs, but at the same time, for an athlete, you want to activate all your legs. Conventional, that one, there's a higher risk because it's using a straight bar. There's a higher risk for injury in your back. RDLs, and as I'll go into later, RDLs, Overtime Athletes, a famous blogging website, will say that RDLs is the best form of deadlift for an athlete, which I will prove why that it's not. RDLs, there's a tremendous risk of hurting your back, hurting your legs, because you don't get that full extension in your legs. So without injuring yourself, trap bar deadlift is the safest way. The weight is evenly distributed, the bar goes all the way around your legs, and you're able to pull up weight or heavier weight, which will build strength. So trap bar deadlift is the safest and best way to increase performance as an athlete. Now, as a college athlete, I'm going to give a little backstory, okay? So when I was a senior in high school, I was about 185, 190 pounds, and my buddy, he was about the same weight. Now, I played baseball, he played basketball, okay? I was topping out 80 to 79 on the mound, and my buddy, the basketball player, couldn't even touch rim, right? Now, we got on this weightlifting program, and one crucial thing that we did, we trap bar deadlift 3 times a week, right? Now, when I first started, I was barely able to get 225 up. That's 2 45-pound plates on each side. He was barely able to get 2 45s and a 10 on each side up. So, now I'm not saying that's weak, but I'm saying to where we are now, that is weak. Now, over a 3-month period, I was able to get my max on deadlift to 275 pounds, and he was able to get his max on deadlift up to 315 pounds. Now, while doing that, I got my velocity max up to 85 miles per hour, and he was able to dunk in basketball, and that was all in 3 months, and that was all while training on deadlift. Now, we also did key workouts like benching and squatting and all that, but we did all this while being pain-free, and that's why trap bar deadlift is the best form of deadlift for performance in athletes. Now, the topic is relevant because according to Statista.com, in 2021, 96% of all Americans participate in sports. In another article made by EverydayHealth.com, it states that nearly 1 in 4 Americans lift 3 to 4 days a week. Now, Overtime Athletes made the following statements that RDL is the best deadlift for athletes. These claims are not true because with RDL, there's a high chance of back injury, and RDLs only target your hamstrings and don't really work on that push-off effect that hex bar deadlift does. Now, in my opinion, RDL is the best deadlift for athletes, Overtime states, and they stated this in their article. And Overtime Athlete is one of the most popular blogging websites on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. You can find them on their blogging page, overtimeathletes.com. And they made the statement that RDLs is the best deadlift for athletes. Now, they said this movement, talking about Romanian deadlift, is great at teaching the bend pattern because of how it forces you to reach the hips and glutes back. Now, although that is true, and hex bar deadlift does do the same thing, what RDLs do is it makes you keep your feet shoulder width apart, which is almost the same as hex bar deadlift, but it has you bend your back. It doesn't have you keep your back straight. It has you bend your back down and explode up with that back. Now, a lot of young, inexperienced lifters, what they'll tend to do is they'll tend to bend down to the ground and explode all the way up with their back. And what that does is it creates that pressure in your lower back, your lower spine, and it will attack and it will deteriorate on your playing time. So with the statement made by Overtime Athletes that RDLs is the best form of deadlift for athletes, we take a look at other forms of deadlift. Now, you have sumo deadlift, as I talked about earlier. This one, you spread your legs out a little bit past shoulder width apart. And what this does, you're just basically, it's used with a straight bar, not a hex bar. And with this one, you're basically just pulling it up. Now, it's not a bad form of deadlift, but at the same time, young, inexperienced athletes and some older athletes, I know for me personally, when my pitching coach in college had me doing sumo deadlift, I would always have back pain because what you do is you end up grabbing the bar and you try to lift it up with that back, right? And you can wear a belt, but it won't always protect it. Conventional deadlift, you have your legs shoulder width apart. It's used with a straight bar. And with this one, this would probably be my second option if you don't have a hex bar because they are similar. But with this one, athletes will tend to get injured because it is used with a straight bar and the weight isn't distributed evenly. The next one that you have is with hex bar deadlift, as I've talked about. And this one, the weight is distributed evenly. It wraps around your legs, so you are able to just pull it up, drop it, come back to your set position, pull it up, drop it, repeat, so on and so forth. With trap bar deadlift, you get full extension with your knees and you're pushing the weight off the ground. As an athlete, it is key to be able to push weight with your legs. As I've explained earlier, basketball players will jump, they'll dunk, they'll get rebounds, they'll shoot. Baseball players the same. Football players, you'll see running backs, hurdle guys. That's all because of deadlift. That's also because of other lifts, but the key lift that most college athletes, most professional athletes will do is deadlift because it is so important for maintaining that athleticism, maintaining your strength and all that. So like I said, trap bar deadlift is the safest and best way to increase performance as an athlete because it is the best way to prevent injury and is the best way to stay ready and stay prepared for the game, right? So in conclusion, Overtime Athletes made the statement that RDLs is the best way for an athlete to deadlift, and I have proved that hex bar deadlift is the best way because A, it prevents injuries, and B, you're able to get heavier weight up without having to hurt your back, which will build strength, and as an athlete that is key. And it also helps you with that push off, right? So thank you for watching. This is Eric Perry. This is my speech on why trap bar deadlift is the best way, best and safest way for an athlete. And thank you for watching.